Yehuda. She is a home-based business owner, an amazing friend of mine. And we're talking, this is part two of a conversation that we just left off on. This is video number 49 of the Harry the Big Dog 100-day, I always say that, 100 video
Yeah.
live stream challenge. 30 days to make 100 videos. So today we're diving in on part two just to talk more about Nabiyah's background, how she even came to being in a home-based business, and her unique set of skills. And the reason for that is that when you think of being a business owner and all of that, if you think that a business owner fits a specific profile and that's it, I want to demystify that. I want to debunk that right now because you don't have to be of any particular walk of life in order to be a business owner, to have a home-based business and to participate in the free enterprise. And so today I want to dive deep into that. And also I want to touch on the educational system. And Nabiyah brought something up while we were, in between part one and part two about what she found inside of, what is a textbook?
It's a seventh grade math book,
From what year?
1948.
Okay.
1948, seventh grade math book. You
Mhm.
open it up. I'm thinking, math book? You
Right.
see, math problems. No, no, it was talking about different industries.
Right.
Um, and it had a whole list of yearly salaries for different industries.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so their opening was talking about what were you going to do as a career once you get out of school.
Hmm.
And so we don't really have those sorts of conversations anymore. We're
Right.
not really grooming our children to be successful as far as owning your own as opposed to going to work for.
Right. Very good. Very good. And unfortunately, when you look at it and you don't realize how deliberate that move was.
Yeah.
That was a deliberate move. I believe it was Roosevelt, not Rockefeller. I believe it was
Rockefeller.
Rockefeller, yeah, who made the statement that we're not interested in, and this is a paraphrase. I'll see if I could find the exact phraseology, but the gist of it was that they're not interested. We're not interested in teaching people how to think, in raising up thinkers.
Thinkers,
You're
yeah.
interested in raising up workers. So in order to do that, they had to deliberately remove from the curriculum inside of the educational space the thing that will let you know how to be financially literate and financially solvent. So without that piece, you are learning a bunch of activities, you're learning a bunch of electives and things like that that may grow knowledge or your memory, but it doesn't teach you how to actually navigate the waters of life. It doesn't teach you how to be successful so that you're not a PhD who's on Skid Row, which there are quite a few of those. Okay. You're not that person who's gone through school and you've got all of the degrees behind your name and you've got student loans that you will never be able to bankrupt out of, you will never be able to get rid of until you pay them off. So that is, in essence, the new slavery. You go in, get a student loan, and then that loan stays with you, and it increases over the years and benefits, and which is why you could have a person who started out with one level, with the student loans, and by the time that they are paying on it for 20 years, they owe more than when they started out with in the initial loan because of
Yeah.
the interest.
And
It's
then and then on top of it, as soon as you're entering into college, you get
credit cards.
credit cards.
Credit
And
cards.
they're just,
The aim is to get you into debt fast.
yeah.
And unfortunately, kids don't realize, nor do the parents, because they're following after the same model. They don't realize that this is the way to enslave the masses.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a gender-based issue. It's not a race-based issue. It
Yeah.
is the issue that those who are uninformed with how the financial strata operates succumb to.
Yeah.
You find yourself a victim of it when you don't know the game.
Yeah. The borrower is a slave to the lender.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Nabia, so you have a varied background, actually. I mean, from
Yeah.
biblical teachings and your studies in Hebrew, your teaching in Hebrew, and your scribal work, the 36 or 38 or what have you Bibles that you own, and the deep research that you've done. You know, your trips to Israel, and Yerushalayim, and all of that, the excavations that you've done. I mean, let's talk about that a little bit, and how someone with that interest set that you have and the experiences that you have, how you slow down enough to take a look at a home-based business opportunity and then ended up becoming a home-based business owner. What was that like for you?
Wow.
Hmm.
Well, I do have to eat, you know.
Right.
I gotta be able to afford those Bibles. Um,
Right.
there is a
And
there's
they're not inexpensive, by the way. Yeah.
yeah that
Hmm.
there is a database that I want to get into for looking at old ancient manuscripts, uh,
Hmm.
texts, documents,
Hmm.
and it's not just having access to it,
Hmm.
but once you have access to it, every time they update,
Hmm.
the money goes up. You
Ah.
have to pay for it.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
so you can say, "Oh, I've got, access to third century documents," but when they update, if you
Hmm.
want to be have that access to the new updates,
Hmm.
it's the cha-ching they're looking for.
Right.
So it is expensive, uh,
Hmm.
but it is well worth it. It's
Hmm.
valuable.
Right.
And so for me, uh, one of the ways to be able to do that is to make sure that I have, those sources coming in, the resources coming in
Hmm.
order for me to be able to access, you
Hmm.
certain documents.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I mean, just having uh, copies of New Testament documents
Hmm.
written in Hebrew with the Vatican seal. Well,
And that's amazing to me
that
because we're always
that's
taught that
crazy to
the
come
New
by.
Testament, yeah, we're always taught that the New Testament it was written in Greek. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Well,
all in Greek, and
yeah,
then
Greek and
later
Latin and
translated.
English and Chinese but yeah, so and it
Didn't
took
you send me something on the? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off as I
no,
cut.
you're fine.
Didn't you send me something where with the Vatican seal, and it was the ancient text of
Uh-huh.
the New Testament
Yeah,
written in Hebrew that predated the Greek?
of course, yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's yeah,
I
that's
probably
the
remember that.
Vatican seal that I sent you,
Mm-hmm.
two copies. One was, Matthew. Well,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I've got the whole book of Matthew, the whole yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but there's, Luke and John, and we
Mm-hmm.
also have well, I didn't show you that one, Revelation in Hebrew.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And so, and I love it. And the interesting thing is that I always knew without any proof that
Mm-hmm.
it was written in Hebrew. I knew
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And, because when you're looking at the text in Greek and you see Hebraisms, because it's only in Hebraisms, you may actually, they did find one. It was like, see, this is evidence. I think they were saying something about Peter and upon this rock, I will build my church. And there was that, and he said, "Well, see, so we told you it was in Greek, but when you looked at it in Hebrew, it made a lot more sense."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and you'll find it. It's just there. It's all over the Bible. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're reading in English, you're obviously you're not going to see it. And
Right.
so that's how they found out. There's a gentleman named Shem Tov, and he
Okay.
wrote a book. He was very, very upset, and he did not want to embrace um, Catholicism. and
Mhm.
he had to prove that uh, even the Catholics weren't even keeping their own word with their own Bible, and so
Mhm.
it came down to that. So once he showed them the documents,
Mhm.
that was how he proved that yes, it was written in Hebrew, and and this is here, A B C
Mhm.
D E all the way through, and you're
Mhm.
not even doing this part, and so it became a really big thing. But
Wow.
yeah, his name is Shem Tov, and
Mhm.
it's called Shem Tov's Hebrew Matthew, and then
Mhm.
a gentleman by the name of George Howard uh,
Mhm.
had found it. So, and I think back, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, there was only 9 copies of the book of Matthew in Hebrew, and I think to date we have 29 or 30 copies right now.
Wow.
Yeah, so and so just getting your hands on certain documents and getting access to certain places, going to certain places. I if I went I, right now they did find one now. Yeah, so I got feedback. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's in my heart now to go to Egypt.
Wow.
And I was just telling somebody, they have all the cities. It looks like a regular city, and then right across from the city, you see pyramids
Mm.
right there. And
Mhm.
so, and just learning things like, Mount Sinai is in Saudi Arabia,
Mhm. Mhm.
and going there and
Mhm.
going to Mount Sinai. So, yeah, so all of that, and going on excavations and digs and
Mhm.
all these discoveries, and I'm planning to go back to Israel as soon as I can. Um, yeah, that's going to take money.
Mhm.
And so when I have an opportunity presented to me where I can multiply myself,
Mhm.
because if I, as Nabiyah, just one person, stop working, I got no more money. If I don't work today, I got no money.
Mhm.
But if I have a team behind me, that money will compound, 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 and
Mhm.
and it's not just I'm not the only one getting paid. The money rolls up.
Right.
And the thing that was so attractive to me about this particular business, yes, it's a binary, that's awesome, but the money just goes down infinitely, infinitely,
Mhm.
infinitely, infinitely. And then there's always bonuses. There's
Mhm.
always bonus pools. I've been in 2 or 3 pools just because.
Mhm.
And so it's just like you're making money over here, then you got cycles, then you got pools, then you got bonuses, then you got promotions, then you got so. And I like the fact that the individuals that brought the company together, they looked at other companies, they saw what
Mhm.
they didn't like, and it was like Control Alt Delete. We're not doing that, because
Mhm.
we want it to be a joy for people to come and earn income at the and our goal is to serve people,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
serve people. And then so that was what was really attractive to me, that yes, I can multiply myself, I can serve people, give people what they want slash need,
Mhm.
help them to become healthier, because honestly people are getting a lot smarter
Mhm.
about health.
Right.
And I remember back in the days when they had MSG on the back of every label. You
Right.
don't see MSG back there
Mhm.
anymore. They took off those 3 letters, and
Mhm.
people just think, oh, there's no MSG on here.
Right.
But they just changed the name to things like protein isolate,
Right.
natural flavors.
Exactly.
There's and they have a load of names that they call MSG. And so,
So
and I'm
what do
sorry.
you, in other words, now, what do you see? Okay, because you talked about how folks are getting more savvy when it comes to health and well-being and all of that. What are some of the questions that folks are now asking that maybe they weren't asking before, where health is that much more on their radar?
Oh my goodness, they're asking so many different questions because they're coming with these health issues already.
Hmm.
And one of the conversations was, and somebody was saying, in my family,
Hmm.
always say in my family with high blood pressure, heart disease, uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just a conglomerate of different ailments.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I said, well, so here's the thing. If you eat the way they ate, that's when you inherit what they have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so
What about that person that says, "Well, I was born with this"?
all you have to do is change your diet.
Okay.
You change your diet, your habits, your mindset, because that's
Mm-hmm.
important.
Mm-hmm.
You may not think so, but it is crucial to how you
Mm-hmm.
think. As a man, think it's
There's
so.
a lot of studies around epigenetics and how that mindset shift has an effect on,
Yeah,
even DNA and things like that, or what the telomeres, and
yeah, yeah,
so I won't get too geeky with
yeah,
that. But,
yeah. I
but
only mention telomeres when it's a very specific conversation.
right, right, yeah,
Um,
but it has a major impact on what goes on in our bodies and how our bodies even
how
take
we
in
ate.
or yeah, yeah, hmm
Yeah.
hmm
So, and so and this is why I like to have the conversations.
hmm
And I tell people, I'm not in the business of selling shakes. I'm
Okay.
in the business of serving people and building an organization. I'm not forgetting that part because moving from one side of the quadrant to the other is my goal.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so, and for
And
those,
we say quadrant because folks may not know what you're talking about when you say
okay,
quadrant.
so the cash
You
flow
have to catch the last one to catch,
Yes,
understand.
the cash flow quadrant. And
Mhm,
so we were talking about how, and Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book
mhm,
called The Cash Flow Quadrant, and you may be familiar with Rich Dad Poor Dad.
mhm,
So,
mhm, mhm,
and he came up with this idea of the cash flow quadrant. And so basically, it is very simple. You draw like a T, and so
mhm,
you have the E for employee, at the
mhm,
S for the self-employed, and
mhm,
then on the other side of the quadrant, which is where you really want to be, because
mhm.
at the top you would have the business, and then on the bottom you have the investor. And so um,
So ESBI, okay.
ESB, yeah.
Mhm,
So the employee
mhm,
is actually that person
mhm,
who is obviously working for someone else.
mhm,
And so getting from, and let me say this before I even go there.
mhm,
There's a mindset with the employee. There's buzzwords, there's keywords they're looking for. They
mhm,
want security.
mhm,
They want to know, is there room for promotion?
mhm.
So they're looking for certain things.
It's kind of more permission based, a permission based way of living. I've got to ask you for permission to live the life that I want to live, and
Yeah,
I can only be granted what you will allow me. So if
yeah,
I want to go and spend time with my family, you may give me a week or two, depending on how long I've worked already. If I
right.
want to raise, well, that's going to depend on how you feel my performance is over 6 months or a year or however long that is.
Yeah,
If I need sick time, well, that's going to depend on how much time I've been there, on how much sick time I've amassed. So everything is down to permission. I remember when I was at the phone company, you pretty much had to ask permission to go and use the bathroom, literally, and then you had a timer. And if you were too late, you're getting written up. It's ludicrous.
just sounds like
Mhm.
slavery to
Yeah,
me. It really
absolutely.
does. And
So that's the employee.
so that's the employee. And it's that mindset. And then so the employee may say, you know what? Bump this. I'll just
Hmm.
work for myself.
Right.
That okay. Nothing
Hmm.
wrong with that. You work for yourself. But they're gonna get you in the tax office.
Hmm.
Because you don't know how.
Hmm.
You don't know. I'm trying to think. Was it 1986 with the tax loop? The tax loopholes that they did back in 1986. But you don't know about that. You
Right.
don't know about that. You don't know how to finagle through, navigate through. You don't know about that. So you're here and you're like, okay, I'm going to work for myself. I'm going to
Hmm.
make my own money, make my own hours. But you're still only one person.
Right.
You don't go to work, you do not get paid. You do
And
not
you're
get
not
paid.
providing a solution per se for others who are underneath that umbrella.
Right.
So
So
even though
that
you're self-employed, you still are not really driving the economy of the nation.
no, you are not. And there are some percentages that we're looking at as far as what percentage of you self-employed are in the nation, how much output is going out. That's not the ideal. You want to be
Hmm.
on the other side because
Hmm.
you will have a team of people and you will be, and if you're an investor, obviously you will be in investing, and then you have a whole different mindset because
Hmm.
you're understanding how to make the codes work for you,
Hmm.
and how to, it's not, because it's kind of like the difference between a consumer,
Hmm. Right.
so because you're consuming.
Hmm.
So it's a whole nother mindset. So when
Even at the employee level, you are like the ultimate consumer. Even
you're
though,
the
yeah,
ultimate
you're
consumer,
trading your time for those dollars, but you're still looked at as a taker from, the tax code, if you will. You're looked at as, well, yeah, yeah, you traded your hours, but then you're gimme, 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 gimme.
but there's more, even as a self-employed person, there's
Mm-hmm.
still just you. You might have one other person doing something, maybe an admin or whatever, but it's
Mm-hmm.
basically just you. Because if you're down, that's the end of it.
Right.
So your ideal is to get on the other side, and you either become a business
Mm-hmm.
or an investor.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can do both, because
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to be a business, you need to be an investor, whether
Mm-hmm.
you're investing in properties, which is huge, real estate, that's
Mm-hmm.
going to be around. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I one point, I was in real estate, and I understood that you can actually own the air.
Yeah, 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 right, yeah.
Air rights.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but
And you
there's
got mineral rights down beneath that too.
so
Mm-hmm.
but there's excuse me. So there's so much over there
Mm-hmm.
on that other side of the quadrant that
Mm-hmm.
we are missing out on simply. And I love it. The Bible says the people perish because of lack of
Lack
knowledge.
of knowledge. Mm-hmm.
You don't know,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing is that you don't know that you don't know. Sometimes,
Right.
actually, a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
So what I mentioned earlier about that whole fear thing,
Mm-hmm.
stepping out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at some point, we have to realize we're getting older, and how much longer can we keep doing this, whatever
Mm-hmm.
that we're doing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because once you generate that income from the other side,
Mm-hmm.
that money is going to be there when you're gone.
Right.
Laying up an inheritance for your children's children. That's
Mm-hmm.
my goal.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what I try to do, if I fail and I mess up, and I can't, because I don't have that give up in me.
Right.
I just don't, because I know the day that I give up, that's it. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And so people have to decide for themselves, basically, what is it that they want to do? Are you going to live enslaved to someone? I just got in. Can I say the name of the company she works for?
Maybe not.
I'm just going to say ML.
Mm-hmm.
um, Big company, huge
Mm-hmm.
company.
Mm-hmm.
I said, and for those of you that don't know, I reside on Maui.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. And so, and I said, well, yeah, just come on over, and because I knew she needed a vacation, and I wanted her to have a vacation so bad. I said, you know what? I'll buy you a ticket.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just come over. I'll make sure you got a comfortable place to stay. Don't worry about it. And because she's working at home, she literally can just use the computer and still
Mm-hmm.
work if she wanted to. And
Mm-hmm.
and then she was like, "Well, I don't know if they're gonna let me."
Yeah.
I said, "What?" But if you can work from a computer, that means you can work from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, but we gotta go through channels. I was just like, "Oh my God!" And she's in her 60s.
Wow. That's ultimate slavery. Wow. See, that's the sad part is that there is such an aversion and a fear of stepping out and starting something like a home-based business because folks say, well, I don't know if it can be successful. I mean, there's a number of reasons why they don't. I don't
Yeah,
know if people are going to accept it, back down to that rejection that we talked about in part one, you
yes.
know, and so they will, okay, perfect example. Okay, so I do a lot of work with nonprofits. And every year, we support this one nonprofit because they do amazing work with young ladies who are aging out of the foster care system.
Hmm.
And so every time that we go there to do the media support and all of that for their fundraisers and the breakfasts and whatnot. Well, there's this one time that we went there and we ran into one lady and she was talking about how she was getting close to retirement. But
Hmm.
what the retirement looked like was she was going to retire, but then she had to go and get a job because the retirement was not going to pay her enough for her to actually, exist. So she was talking about two jobs that she was going to have once she retired in order to make sure that she could make ends meet. So she's going to be working more hours than the hours that she was working on her current job.
Yeah.
And I was like, what kind of sense does that make?
It-
Because you work all of your life, and now at that point, she would have been, I think, like 65 or something. And now she's got to work more in order to just stay afloat because her retirement was not going to keep her to live the same quality of life. So she either had to scale way back or she had to get more employment, which meant that she was going to be gone from her house more than she already was
I'm
in her late age.
The fear is so real.
Right,
And
but people don't stop. They don't stop to think about how unfounded that is because if you are going to have to work more after your retirement instead of creating an asset that is going to now pay you and replace that income,
Mhm.
something's wrong. But there's been such a number and such a diabolical plan to program people into that level of fear that
Yeah,
they don't even look at options of bettering their situation.
they won't. They won't. And it's I'm telling you, it's that fear.
Hmm.
It's right there. It's like back in the days I was a massage therapist
Hmm.
and I'd have a client and I would, touch somewhere maybe under their scapula or something
Hmm.
or up in their trapezius.
Hmm.
They would have a pain.
Shoulder for all y'all who don't know what she's talking about, shoulder
Uh,
blades and stuff. Hmm.
Shoulders are right here,
Hmm.
deltoid.
Hmm.
Trapezius is right here.
Hmm.
But they would just have a pain
Hmm.
anywhere. It could be anywhere in the body
Hmm.
that they didn't know was there. But
Hmm.
it was there, it was present.
Right.
It's like, oh my God, I didn't know that was there until you put your hand there.
Hmm.
And and then we had another set of people that would come in and they would say something like, oh yeah, I know I'm just used to it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, no, I know. So yeah, I had it a long time, and so I'd work on it until it was either totally gone or
Hmm.
it was just about 97% gone.
Right.
They'd be like, "Wow, I've had this for like 10 years."
Hmm.
So in my head, it's the same thing. You've never met me before. You come to me.
Hmm.
I've got a remedy for you.
Hmm.
The remedy works.
Hmm.
The pain point is gone.
Hmm.
To me, it's all the same thing.
Right.
And so people have to stop being afraid of doing the new thing. It's like when somebody would talk to me about home-based business, especially network marketing,
Hmm.
I treated it the same way I did when people would try to invite me to church.
Hmm. Hmm.
I could only repeat to them what I heard other people say,
Right.
which is why I didn't go
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I didn't know. And then there are people that they've been in it before and it just didn't work. Well, okay, maybe you were on the wrong team, or maybe you didn't have the right information, but you don't give up, because it, in and of itself, it works
Mm-hmm.
because of the business model
Right, right.
of you multiplying yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always gonna it's always gonna work. So this is why I said, and the last time, it is a personal development program with
Mm-hmm.
a compensation plan attached to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, one of
How
my
how important is, and before we go on, I'm speaking with Nabiyah Baht Yehuda, a great friend of mine. She's a business owner, a home-based business owner, and we're talking about, just some of her background, how she even got into it, and the benefits of having a business, a home-based business, how you really can pretty much create your own raises, create your own opportunities, create your own income streams because you got an asset that is working for you.
Mhm.
And not to mention the tax breaks that you get by having a home-based business. So you can go to her page, facebook.com/catch yo life, and that's CATCHYOLIFE. If you have any questions, you want to reach out to me, go ahead and comment below or PM me. Me, I'm Jason Hodge here, aka the Jason Hodge. So just wanted to let you know what we're talking about right now, and this may be a solution that you want to explore on how to create an asset for yourself, how to create a home-based business, what that process looks like, and what's necessary for you to transfer the money that you're spending elsewhere, in stores, whether it be a department store, food stores, whatever, and transfer that spending to your own enterprise. So you're getting the same things, probably even a better higher or higher quality, but it's money that you're paying to yourself so that
Mhm.
you're reaping the benefits of it instead of some other entity reaping those benefits. And the benefits that you reap, there's a way to structure it so that you have, a lot of tax-free income. So, Nabi, okay, back to what you were saying.
Yeah, so it is unfortunate that there are so many people that just won't. Okay, I fail. And I think we talked about this a long time ago, failing forward,
Right, right.
which is you fell forward, and I talk to people about, okay, you failed in that area, but what did you learn?
Mm, mm-hmm,
What did you learn? You're
mm-hmm,
supposed to learn what works and what doesn't work.
right.
And then you just start all over. And
Mm-hmm,
so, and I try to teach my team how to do that, how to move
mm-hmm,
forward. It's
mm-hmm,
okay when you don't know something. You got a whole library resource. You got
right.
coaches, people that's going to help you. I'm going to help you.
Okay, now speaking of that mindset piece, what are some of the biggest constraints that you found that folks have when it comes to stepping into this new territory, owning a business? I think that it's probably a lot of pressure because folks have so many things that are wrapped up in what they believe that to be.
Yes.
So they kind of sabotage, just by the thoughts or the misinformation that they have. So what has been the biggest constraint that you found in the time that you've been doing this?
Oh my goodness. Ugh, the biggest. The big, there's just so many of them. No, the biggest constraint. I think that I think that a lot of what happens, yeah, yeah, y'all see my compound bow over there. So I think a lot of times is that when people come in, they have, we talked about with the rejection, you, it's the wall that they build up. It's the walls that they build up, and it's the work that it takes to bring the wall down, or the block in the mind. And I mean, I knew when I came in, there's certain things that I thought, but when I think people just need to be open.
Mm,
Can you just be open to
mhm,
the
mhm,
opportunity?
mhm,
Because and this is why I let them talk. Okay, well, number one, how long have you been doing what you've been doing?
mhm, mhm,
The next question is, how long do you see yourself doing this?
Right.
What are some of the things that you like to do?
Mhm.
Do you have time to do that?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Do you have time to do? Oh, and you like the vacation? How often do you get to do that? Because we together have to find your pain points in order for you to see this is your way out. This is your way out. This is your way out. And so everybody that comes, they want the money.
Mhm.
Make six figures? Absolutely.
Mhm.
Do you maybe you just want to pay, some a bill,
Mhm.
you know,
Right.
a student debt, student loans. We talked
It's
about
whatever
loans.
you want it to be for you.
I'm sorry.
So it's whatever you want it to be for you. You can
Whatever it has
structure it
to,
to
whatever it's
do
going to be for
whatever
you.
you want it to do. Okay.
Yeah, whatever's going to be, whatever's need to free up for you.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and you have to let people see because they can't see. So every time you tell them something, you're pulling down another filter, you're pulling down another blinder.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know what? You only, if you want, you can work 1 hour a day
Mhm.
or 1 hour a week,
Mhm.
10 hours a day or 10
Mhm.
hours a week. It's
Mhm.
up to you. This is your business. You're in business for yourself, but not by yourself.
Mhm.
People like to be made to feel safe. People like to be made to feel like, wow, I have some help. Because I think that's one of the biggest thing. One of the biggest things is the intimidation that I don't know what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Guess what? All the people that were around me, out of all of them, I didn't know what I was doing. But somehow I came in and I outranked the person who came in,
Mhm.
who actually got me started. And it's not because I was so smart.
Mhm.
Because I got a phone call
Mhm.
from a gentleman in Utah because he wanted to know who I was because I was smoking. He I
Mhm.
he was like, "Have you done this before?" I said, "No, I never wanted to do this." He was like, "Well, how are you doing this?"
Mhm. Mhm.
If you have a heart to serve people, and
Right.
I just want to serve people, I wasn't looking at the dollar signs.
Mhm.
I was really passionate about what it was I was taking.
Right.
Because I knew how it made me feel. I
Mhm.
saw how other people were feeling, and I
Mhm.
saw the results around me. I was
Mhm.
experiencing the same results. Again, going back to the food system is broken. Look what they're doing
Mhm.
with food.
Mhm.
All of the, I knew the things that they were putting into the soil. I knew it's just corrupt.
So tell me something. What or what is the strangest, most out there person? I'm not talking about the person themselves in general, but like where they came from that just kind of shocked you when it came to them starting their own home-based business. I mean, that you would have said, I would have never thought that a person coming from this walk of life or this industry would have been able to do something like this. What have you seen in relation to that?
Oh my God, there was a girl. Um, no, there was a guy. I'm gonna talk
Mhm.
about him.
Mhm.
He was 18 years old.
Mhm.
He saw the opportunity. He saw it.
Mhm.
Never done anything like this ever.
Mhm.
18 years old.
Mhm.
He sold his car
Mhm.
so that he could do this business.
But now, was he coming from an industry, or he was just totally green?
No, he was
Never.
totally green. This is
Okay.
what I'm saying. He never did this before. Like I had never done it before.
Okay. So then there's the green person who hasn't had any kind of business experience, which actually could probably be a pretty good thing because they don't have to unlearn certain things.
They
So,
don't have to unlearn certain
okay,
things.
now tell me
And
what
then
you've seen
there's the
in relation to somebody who has had like a lot of years of, you know, um,
there were
and all of that.
okay. So there's oh God, I got about four of those stories. So
Hmm.
there's the person that comes in who's making six figures.
Hmm.
Six figures. They wanted freedom because they didn't have it.
Hmm. Okay.
they're making six figures.
Mm-hmm.
If I,
Is this low six figures, mid or high?
huh?
Low six figures, mid or high?
No, they were like in mid to high.
Okay. So tell me something. Okay, so now when it comes to okay, them talking about they wanted freedom.
They wanted freedom.
What did that look like? Because a person who's making mid to high six figures, one would think that, well, you've got freedom. I mean, look, you've got this money coming in, you can get whatever you want. What
It,
does what does a lack of freedom look like to them? How are they defining non-freedom or bondage, if you will? How are they defining that when they're making that kind of money?
that is an excellent question because if we took a poll, who here wants to make six figures? Everybody
Hmm.
would self-select them. They would self-select. I
Hmm.
want six figures.
Hmm.
And because they have an idea in their mind
Hmm.
what the money looks like, but
Hmm.
what they don't have is what you
Hmm.
have to do in order to get it.
Hmm. Hmm.
So making six figures, wow, whether it's low or mid, uh,
Hmm.
that sounds pretty good. But
Right.
they didn't have the freedom. They worked so many hours. They was
I was
exhausted.
going to ask you about that. How many hours were they working? I've heard of
Oh
folks
my
working
God,
80, 100, plus hours per week.
yeah, it was pretty high. So they had
Hmm.
no freedom. And
Hmm.
so when this was presented to them, they saw how they could gain their freedom
Hmm.
because they were again multiplying themselves
Hmm.
and building a team.
Hmm.
There are people that have said, well, if I can build a team for this company,
Hmm.
I can build one for myself.
Great deductive reasoning. Yeah, I mean, and that's I think that's where I wanted to get the conversation to is that you're already building for someone else. You're building another business, another visionary's dream.
Exactly.
You're spending these hours, and you've got what some friends of mine, who made really good money, but they called it the golden handcuffs. They had what they wanted. They were, high middle America. They lived in an exclusive area, a beautiful home.
Hmm.
Their time wasn't their own. Their time was owned. And so that meant that any time that they got a call, no matter if they're on vacation or not, they had to cut that short in order to handle a fire, put out a fire
Exactly.
for somebody else's business.
Right.
And so when they decided to step away, they were like, yes, it has given me this, but the cost is too high. I'm not
Hi.
spending the time that I want with my family. I'm not really able to build the relationships that I want with my friends. I can't travel at will because at any given moment, I could get a phone call and I got to get back on that plane and get back to the job, no
Yeah,
matter where I am in the world.
because they're owned.
They're owned, exactly.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of drive into that particular lane because that is a sobering thought that no matter how much that money is that's coming through,
Yeah.
when the price for that money is so high, because you could never get back time, you can always make more money. You
Yeah.
can generate more income. You can generate more revenue streams. You can scale a business model that has a template and a system in place that you can just plug more able bodied people in to do the same thing for themselves. So
Absolutely.
you help other people do what they need for their freedom. And in essence, your freedom comes as a reward for showing people the way to their freedom. It's like, who was it? Zig Ziglar, who
Yeah.
said, if you uh, teach enough people how to get what they want, you will get what you want. That's a paraphrase, horrible paraphrase. Sorry, Zig. But you will get what you want because you're in service, and that service.
Yeah.
There's another one that
And
uh,
his son came to speak at one of our meetings. Yeah.
mhm, yeah,
Yes.
it's
Ziegler, his son.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so who was it? Lappin? He said that the pipe that brings the water gets wet too. So when you're operating in service, you cannot pour out information, you cannot pour out blessings, you cannot pour out resources
Hmm.
without benefiting yourself from the very thing that you're being used to pour out.
Absolutely.
So if you look at people who go for those high paying, high powered jobs, the reason that they're doing that is because they're looking for a certain lifestyle, a certain level of freedom. The
Mhm.
sad part is that when they get to that income range and they realize that the freedom did
Mhm.
not come along with that,
Mhm.
it's a rude awakening. It's like, wow, I'm kind of dejected now. Now what do I do?
Yeah.
They're kind of like at a fork in the road or a brick wall
Mhm.
because they thought that this was going to be the answer, and all they find is that now the very people that I'm doing this for, I don't even see anymore. I can't even connect with those people anymore, my family, my friends, because I'm always working, and I can't commit to anything without without the caveat being, hey, okay, yeah, we're going here, but I may get called away at any, and if I get called, I gotta go.
Yeah.
So that's not freedom.
No, it's not at all. And
Hmm.
that's one of the points that uh, we have to keep in the forefront of our mind. That
Hmm.
I mean, if you are just looking for a job, because that's how we're trained, get a
Right.
job, go to school, get an education, get a job.
Hmm.
I mean, how many people do we know that have degrees not doing anything with it?
Right.
Now you're in debt, you have a degree, you're not using it, and whatever job you are on, even if you are using your degree, even if you are using your degree, you're still not satisfied because
Hmm.
your time is still not your own. Somebody owns your time. I love the fact that I wake up when I'm done sleeping.
Hmm. Yes.
When I'm done sleeping, I'm up.
Yes.
I don't have to answer to anyone. I
Hmm.
literally can kick back if I don't want to talk to anybody or do anything, unless
Hmm.
it's ministry, of course. Uh,
Right.
and I don't want to do it for a month or 2 months. I'm good,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's only because of a foundation already laid. And so,
Do you
but
know when that whole freedom model made the most sense to me? It was after I got into my car accident and suffered a traumatic brain injury.
I remember.
Because yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's like I'm still getting back to my norm. And I thought, you know what? There are many people who run into situations like this
Yes.
and without having things set up. And it was unfortunately a wake-up call for me, but you want to wake up before you need the wake-up call. You know what I mean? It's like how when you say you dig your well before you need the water, before you're thirsty. And unfortunately, it hit at a time when I was on my way on a trajectory, but then that was all wiped away. It took me it took me over a year to start remembering things properly, you know? And so you want to have something in place so that, God forbid, if something like that were to happen to you, that you have something that is working when you can't work. You have something that is, and it's fortunate that I have such an amazing support group, a support community. Because if not, if God had not put, those people around me, I don't know what would have happened, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So to God be the glory for that.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a wake up call, though, that, we need to spend at least, half of the time, at the very least half of the time that we spend building somebody else's business, building our own.
Yes.
The ideal thing would be able to spend at least as much time.
I
The
mean,
more ideal would be spend more time building your asset and
yeah.
then give of the overage to the other if
Mhm.
necessary. But if
Yeah.
you build your asset and teach other people how to build theirs, then you win, they win. They don't have to be in slavery. You're no longer in slavery. And now you can actually enjoy your family, your friends, your time, your travel, all of the other things that come along with that.
Yeah.
You'd be able to enjoy, all the excavations you want to go on, all the research trips, all the documentation, and the up level in information and data sets and whatnot.
Yeah.
without having to think about it because you know that those resources are constantly coming in without your having to do the physical grind to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's whether you're doing the business part-time or part-time,
Hmm.
or you just like, you know what? I know some people, they're like full on. This is it for me.
Right.
And guess what? And they're still not doing 40 hours a week.
Right.
They're still
Because
not
at that point, you don't need to. Once you have it moving the right way, you don't need to because now
no,
you're plugged into a system that does the work.
and let the
Very,
system work for you. That's why it's called a
very
system.
important.
You
Hmm.
know, it's like, I don't know what to do. Da, da. You know, that intimidation. That's
Hmm.
what we're here for. We're here to help you, teach you the system, give
Hmm.
you free training, we're not asking for any extra money, and
Hmm.
learn what you don't know
Right.
until you get good at what you don't know. And then you're going to be turning around helping other
Teaching
people.
others what they don't know. That's very good.
Yeah.
Well, if you are just tuning into this, I'm going to encourage you to, come back around, look at the replay, start over from the beginning of this, and I'm talking about like part one. I'm sitting here talking with a good friend of mine, Nabiyah Baht Yehuda, and we're talking about home-based businesses, why you should have one, some of the benefits that you get from having it, and above all of it, creating an asset that creates your freedom. So if you are in that position and you're like, you know what, I hear what they're saying right now. I know what it means to be a very well-paid slave. I know what it means to look like I have everything together
Mhm.
and to be stressed to the max because I'm not able to actually enjoy the life that I have worked so hard for. I live in the suburbs and I live in a great house and all of that, but I don't see my family. I travel, but I'm always on edge that I may get called and have to cut my trip short because I'm really not free. I'm just a very high paid individual who is owned. If that resonates with you, if you're like, you know what, actually I can relate to that, and you want to explore, some other opportunities to transition your current status, you want to transition into a different way of life, one that actually does have freedom involved. I want you to go to Catch Your Life. It's facebook.com/Catch Your Life.
That's
CATCH YOLIFE. That is Nabia's page. You could also feel free to reach out to me. I am Jason Hodge here, aka the Jason Hodge. There's a story behind that. I'll probably tell it one day. But
yeah.
go ahead and PM me or comment below and just say, hey, you know what? I want to know more about this freedom lifestyle. I want to learn how I can position myself to be free. And look, it doesn't matter if you work in a quarry or if you work on Wall Street. It really doesn't matter because anytime that you don't have freedom that is your own, you don't have your time, your life to do with what you please, when you please, you're not free. I don't care how much money you're making, you're not free. And if you're okay with that, then this is not the right conversation for you, and that's okay too. But if you know that, you know what, I don't like where I am in life, and I don't like what I've become because you may be married. You like, hey, I got married so I could spend time and raise a family and actually see them grow before my eyes and interact and engage with them. If you're not doing that, then something's wrong with that model because it's kind of like you got scammed. For lack of a better term, you got scammed because you're thinking that all of that money that you're making was worth it, but it is in opposition to what you said that you wanted in the first place. So if that is you and you know and you're like, hey, let me tell the truth about this. I am not really where I want to be. Yeah, I may look like the big spender to all my friends, all the kids that I grew up in high school with. And truth be known, they're probably not where they want to be either. But you know that you want to make a shift, then go ahead, comment below or reach out in a DM if you kind of want to keep it more discreet. And, we'll get back to you with some information, and I think that it will be the best decision that you made in your life because it's a decision that is circulated around you and your dreams and what you ultimately wanted when you got into corporate America. All right. This is a free enterprise country. And if you're not operating in the free enterprise, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, a lot of opportunity on the table, and you don't own your life. And that's really what freedom should be about. You should have the ability to choose when you come and go, when you wake up, when you go to sleep, who you hang around, who you work with, who you don't work with. You should be able to have those in your life that actually help build your life as opposed to tear it down. So on that note, Nabiyah, if you have any last words, please feel free to jump on in.
I just want to say that, and I think you've really covered it. It's about we're in a free enterprise country. Take the opportunity to look again. Don't think about what didn't work before. It doesn't matter. It's about looking ahead, failing forward, looking
Mhm.
at what worked, what did not work, and I really just want to say, look again,
Yes.
look again, take another look, and ask the questions perhaps you didn't ask before, um,
Hmm.
and and just look at the opportunity, because you have not just yourself, but you have your family to think about. This is the only family that you're going to get. You want to spend that time, and time is a precious commodity. As we said before, you can make more money, but
Hmm.
time you will never get back again. And
Right.
so let's be good stewards over our time, and do what we need to do. Just look again.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So you can reach out to me, jasonhodge.biz. You can go reach out to Nabiyah, facebook.com/catch your life. And see you later. Thank you so much, Nabiyah, for coming on, doing part two of this. I,
Thank
I
you
enjoyed part two even better than part one, and I loved part one.
so
In
much.
part two, I think we were able to dive in deeper and just talk about, the things, the different walks of life that can come into, ownership of their own home-based business. And, everybody needs an asset. Everybody needs an asset, if not one, multiple. But start with at least one that is going to grow with you and is going to provide you with multiple revenue streams in order to make sure that when all is said and done, no matter if you lose a job tomorrow or today, if you lost one last week, you have an asset that is growing and accruing in value for you that will replace that income if you work it right, if you leverage it properly. You've got the opportunity to do that, especially now that everybody, for the most part, is at home. Okay. Don't let this opportunity that has taken place with the shutdown, don't let that be where you stop. Let that be where you start. All right. On that note,
Yeah.
see you later. Thank you so much for coming by.
Oh, I do want to say that if you're looking for me on Instagram, I am the underscore side hustler. There is a stream of videos there talking about home-based businesses, and it's called Streams of Income. So, and we do need to have streams plural. So the underscore side hustler 63 on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank
Thanks
you
so
so
much
much,
for
Nabiyah.
having me,
All
Jason.
right, y'all. You have a good one. I will see you all later. Video 49. I'm so excited.